Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have Milo here just because he's always so wanted to be near me. But anyway, goodbye. I wanted to make kind of like a separate video about the video that I made last year. It's been a while, but thank you so much for those people who have watched it, and for those who haven't, I'll put down the links below. So basically last year when I was living in Japan, I made a video about teaching there and if you can even teach as a non-native speaker, and I've received a couple of comments in there that I just wanted to clarify, and I thought making a video about that would be easier for those who had created a comment and asked me a question. So I'll be asking those questions which are frequently asked on that video. So yeah, let's start. I do have the questions on the iPad. I've written it down and I'm just gonna read it through here. So I have all my FAQs there. So the first question that I always get asked is that, do I need a particular degree or bachelor's degree to teach? And the answer is no. So I graduated from a degree in business, majoring in management and marketing. So I don't necessarily have like a teaching degree or a degree in English, but I still got a job there to teach. So I do not think, as far as I know, you don't need a degree specifically in English to teach there. However, if you do, great for you. I think it's kind of like an add-on and good value that you can bring. But yeah, so you don't have to if you do have, as long as you do have a degree. I think it's mostly because you need that to apply for the visa. I'm not quite sure, but that's kind of like what I know when I was back in Japan. But yes, you don't have to. The second question I always get is that, or the second question I think that was very interesting was, did you had any problems with students for not being a native speaker? So I do not recall any particular problem. However, I do get a lot of students who kind of like were a little bit shocked when they see me, just because I'm half Japanese. And for the students themselves, they do get the information before the class, and it would, of course, my name is in full Japanese, and kind of like a shock for them. But I did not have any kind of like prejudice or problems with a student kind of like complaining about me, or I don't know, any problems or challenges in terms of that. I think, to be honest, I had like a great experience. All of the students that I had at that time were really great. They were really nice to me, and I think it's just a matter of like how you approach things. I feel like there's always going to be bias anywhere and everywhere, but yeah, I don't recall any specific problems in terms of that. So yeah, that's kind of like my take on that. The third question is, if you have a TOEFL certification, is it helpful? My answer, and this is just my opinion, I think that it's always kind of helpful. If you do, it's kind of like plus to you. So think about it as kind of like another layer, or let's say a qualification that you have. Definitely if you do not have like an experience in terms of like teaching, I think having that kind of certification would always be nice. But if you do, like what I mentioned, it's always like a plus to you. So yes, it's going to be helpful for you, but it's not like a guarantee that you will get a job. So it's always like that. It's like having a degree or a diploma. It's never going to be a guarantee that after you graduate or after you obtain those diploma or certifications, you do, or you will get like a job. So that's kind of like my take on that. The fourth question I think is very tricky. I don't really want to dig through this, but I do just want to clarify in terms of like visa restrictions and visa kind of like process and questions that I have. I myself, I did not have to go through like a work visa just because I can get a visa there through family. So I'm not, or I don't think I'm in a position to kind of like tell you guys on the process and how and like what documents you need in terms of visa. So but I always get questions about this, and I am very sorry, I'm not really particular, or I'm not really well versed in terms of like how do you apply a visa there. Yeah, so fifth question is, what are the types, or what are the companies that are hiring for non-native speakers? I did have a list on my video there, so like what I mentioned, it's going to be down below. I'll put all the links there, and you can watch my video on that. The last question I got was that, you know, it's kind of, I would say, like a follow-up question in terms of like the visa. So one person asked me in terms of like finding a job there, is it better that you fly into Japan using a tourist visa and find a job there? This is just my opinion. Once again, I feel like you should start applying for a job back in your home country first before you make that plunge and make that risk to go to Japan and find a job. I know there's going to be pros and cons in terms of, you know, the advantages that you get that you're already in Japan. It's easier for you to go to, let's say, an in-person interview and stuff like that, for sure. However, I think it's still better if you do try out while you're still back in your home country, just because that's risk-free. Most of the companies out there, at least from my experience, what they do is that they would do like a Skype interview first. They would have like a take-home assignment that you would have to complete, and then if you do get past that, you would have to go through a Skype interview. So I know they're already kind of like used to it, having or hiring outside of Japan for external applicants, and then they will just go through it through Skype. So I do not, sorry about that, I do not think that it's gonna be kind of like a disadvantage for you if you're not in Japan. But if, for example, you are willing to go through it, you have family there and you really wanted to go to Japan, feel free. But I think, you know, there's still advantages to it applying outside of Japan. So yeah, well, that's all the questions I typically get on that video. If you do have any other questions or anything like that, comment down below. If you do have any specific questions about my experience teaching there, or anything I could definitely kind of like share with you guys, I'll be happy to. But yeah, well, thank you so much for watching, and subscribe to my channel if you do want to get notifications of like different videos I'm gonna do in the future. And a little bit side note that I am not in Japan anymore. We actually moved to Canada, specifically here in Toronto, and I'm gonna be making a video about that soon. But yeah, well, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!